Your guess right now. Deebo said last week he'd be back this week. Is Deebo Samuel back for the Bengals game right now? What's your guess? Tuesday, December 7th.
I would say he does not play this week.
Doesn't feel like
I'm not expecting him to play.
Which my first reaction, if that's the case, is I get it, because what's more important is that you have him for several games. I do think they should be able to win this game without Deebo, but obviously he's incredibly
It's a pretty big blow. He's a huge key to their offensive success. Like we saw last week, it's very difficult without them. For them to get to 23 points, Kittle needed to have, has Waller or Kelsey had a 180-yard game? Like, that's probably one of the better games a tight end has had all season. Like, that's what it took. A remarkable game from Kittle, who's just scoring sweet touchdowns, fucking breaking tackles, who's just a man-child. It's hard to, I can't expect him to have back-to-back games of even 150 yards. I mean, hell, if you said, hey, Kittle gives you 100 yards, if I said 100 yards, you'd sign up for that. 150 yards? How many times is Jefferson or Devontae Adams in back-to-back games? It's difficult. Because to me, the game plan, if you're the Bengals, and Kyle mentioned this yesterday about the final plays. They were scheduled to Kittle. He doubled both times. Mm-hmm. I would not wait to the red zone to double Kittle. I would double him all game long everywhere he goes. And a double, it's not like basketball where two guys will just stay on you the whole time. It's more of like a bracket. That's the way kind of football works, with one guy in front of you, one guy behind you, kind of, mirroring you. To me, if I was on Cincinnati's coaching staff or a scout or whatever, hey, I haven't watched this team, take 85 away, and obviously, play the run well, it'll be very, very difficult. He's not going to dice you up with Sherfield and Juwan Jennings.
No, but this is maybe an Aiyuk game then.
Well, that's fine.
Maybe that's what it becomes.
Can both of those guys get a total of 200?
Well, not if you're playing Kittle the way you're talking about.
But if one guy starts killing you, it opens it up a little bit. That's the way. It's it's one of those basketball situations.
A 7 for 80 game.
Because don't you feel how Clay really kind of came on as okay, we go all out to get Steph, and then eventually Clay just fucking just destroying people. It's well, what are we gonna do? Right.
Right.
Aiyuk hasn't got to that point yet where he can be treated like Deebo and Kittle. That's where it's he can just easily cruise as the third guy when they're all together. It does get a little more difficult for him, even though I think the guy's really talented. I've been very bullish from what I've seen.
On Aiyuk.
Quarterback more than him. Yeah.
He's got 3 touchdowns this year, which, again, I know what I've seen. I felt good about Brandon Aiyuk, too. I'm not judging him by that number. But
he's never going to be a big red zone target.
No.
If he's going to have 6 or 7 touchdowns on a season, my guess would be a couple, probably half of them always come outside the red zone.
Yeah.
Maybe not 60, 70 yards, but 35-yard post or, make a guy miss. Maybe an out, break a tackle, sprint to the end zone.
His biggest games this year, 6 for 89 in a loss to Arizona, 7 for 85 in a win over Jacksonville. Obviously against Minnesota had a couple of big plays, felt more impactful than 3 for 91. But this would be a great week for 7 for 85 and a touchdown against Cincinnati. Because you're right. Kittle is not, you haven't had a defense prepare for a Niners game coming off a Kittle performance like that this year.
I actually think, and I had this thought last night, if Belichick's going to get rid of N'Keal Harry at the end of the season, I could see the Niners trading for him. Obviously, you wouldn't trade much for him, but he blocks. And I remember them talking about him. They liked him a lot coming out because I think he blocked. Obviously, they got the right guy in Deebo Samuel. But I could see the Niners getting their hands on N'Keal Harry as a little reclamation project. Because they do kind of like that bigger body type. That Kyle.
Is he better than Juwan Jennings at this point?
Well, N'Keal's a top 5 blocker in the league outside. You see that guy last night? Just crushing people.
Yeah. I give him a lot of credit. You're right. You give him a lot of credit for sticking in there. Now, maybe he doesn't really have a choice. But
how many wide receivers that just want to fucking throw it around?
Nobody does, but he might not have a choice. It's like Bill's hey, man, here's what's going to happen. I'm not going to trade you. You're going to do what I want this year. And maybe you'll do what I want next year. And I'm going to reward you for it. And the answer is oh, really? How are you going to reward me, Bill? And the answer is with 10 targets. N'Keal Harry has 10 targets this year.
What's his catch to target ratio?
8 to 10, 80% catch rate.
Isn't that pretty good?
Well, it's better than the 50% he had as a rookie.
Yeah, it hasn't been a smooth transition
So
to the pros.
I don't know. I think it's got to be an Aiyuk game. Especially, we'll see what the Bengals with Joe Burrow's health is like, but they can make big plays on that team. And you're down your best cornerback this week. Burrow's health is a big part. Like, can Burrow throw the ball with a formerly dislocated pinky?
Yeah, you just got to pray he's got mallet finger. I actually hope he's healthy because I do enjoy watching them.
Yeah, well, you know, I know.
Mixon got banged up in that game too. I'm telling you, that guy's a really, really good player. I mean, he is, the kind of the core top guys, right? The Derrick Henry, McCaffrey gets mentioned that way, and he is that talented, but he's always injured.
Yeah.
But Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, just like the best running backs. I don't think this guy gets quite the love, but I think he's every bit. He has 12 rushing touchdowns this season.
Wow.
He has the other thing, he can catch the ball. How many catches does he have? I mean, he has 26 catches. So he's going to end up with 35 catches, probably 1,400 yards, and like 15 rushing touchdowns to go along with. He's a dynamic player. And obviously, Jamar Chase. I read this article in The Athletic today. For him, just because the standard's so high, even though he's actually having a pretty productive season, and he's had some really, great games. But he's also, last week, did you see the highlight of the ball that bounced off him that the Chargers picked off? He's just had some plays where I think he's been hit or miss catching the ball. But him, Higgins, and Boyd, if you just combine their productivity, those three. Now, granted, Joe Burrow's they're playing with a good quarterback. Like, they're playing with a quarterback that, how many teams in the league would immediately trade their quarterback for? 20?
Yeah, I mean, maybe more.
It'd be high. Yeah, it'd be high. Like, John Schneider's like, hey, wait, Burrows, can you guys take Russell for? I'll take the young guy. I went to his pro day, and Russell got mad. Actually, it was Josh Allen's pro day, but yeah, just their offense is going to be a problem because their guys can all catch, including their running back. And last time I checked, the Niners aren't exactly LOB covered unit.
No. But, I mean, they will. I think Burrow has. Do you have Burrow's number? I think he's double-digit interceptions this year.
Yeah, he's got a little like, I was going to say Josh Allen, hero sin. He always thinks he can just get them out of it, right? You see a lot of his highlights are scrambling around. To me, he's got like a Tony Romo vibe to him, which is fun.
More talented, I'd say. You agree with that?
He's got 14 picks.
14 picks.
Do you know how many touchdowns he's thrown?
28?
Yeah, 23.
28 is high.
28 would be high. 14 picks is a lot. So he will turn the ball over.
You got to get a lead on him, which is the story of every Niner game. I'm not breaking any news.
The Niners just better be, like, if they're on, it's at home. He is, in this offense, given their secondary, to me, would be capable of, like, throwing 4 touchdowns. I don't think it would be crazy if you were a daily fantasy player. Take him. Now,
take Burrow.
Their offensive line is pretty bad, so Bosa should fucking destroy them.